Hello, beautiful Libra soul. Tell me this: have you ever felt like something that or someone that was pulling the strings behind the scenes of your life? That no matter how balanced you try to be, something keeps tipping the scales. If so, this message was meant for you. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where divine timing leads the way and nothing, absolutely nothing, happens by accident. In the first few seconds, I need you to hear this. Today's video will reveal the spiritual sabotage you were never meant to see until now. Someone may have used your photo in a dark ritual. But don't worry. The universe is not only watching, it's already moving to protect and restore your path. You didn't land here randomly. You were guided here. There is a sacred pulse in the universe, and right now, that pulse is resonating with your spirit. Maybe you've been feeling anxious, disconnected, strangely off balance lately. Maybe there's been tension in your home. Or perhaps certain relationships have shifted in ways you can't explain. Those aren't just coincidences. They are signs. Signs that someone, perhaps a woman and her daughter, has been tampering with your energetic field. Through a shadow ritual, they've tried to alter your emotional stability, financial flow, and even how others perceive you. Not because you're weak, but because you shine so brightly, your light unsettles their darkness. But here's the truth: they will not win. Because the universe does not abandon its own. Your presence here today is living proof that divine justice is already in motion. What was done in secret is being brought into the light. And every attempt to weaken you is becoming the very reason you rise stronger than ever before. Before we go deeper, let me take a moment to say this with all my heart. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Every like, every comment, every subscription to Zodiac Whisper Tarot is not just an act of support, it's a ripple of healing in this space we share. Your presence uplifts not just this channel, but the entire community of awakened souls tuning into the frequency of truth. And Libra, I promise, you'll want to stay until the very last second of this reading. Because what the universe is about to reveal to you is not just shocking, it's powerful, restorative, and deeply personal. Now tell me, what nudged you here today? Was it intuition? A dream? Or maybe that subtle feeling that something isn't quite right? Whatever brought you, trust it. If your heart is already whispering yes, then do me this favor. Comment the sacred number 11 below. It's the number of awakening and spiritual alignment, and by typing it, you're claiming your energetic balance back. Take a breath. Stay grounded. We're just getting started. And this journey is about to get real. Sometimes the confusion you've been sensing doesn't come from within, it's the reflection of energies that don't belong to you, energies that have been projected onto your path like clouds over a mirror. As Venus, your ruling planet, forms a dissonant quincunx with Neptune, the veil between clarity and illusion grows thinner. In this strange, almost weightless space, it's easy to mistake someone else's expectations, judgments, or resentment as your own internal chaos. But as any true Libra knows, balance isn't just a trait, it's your compass. And when the compass wobbles, that's the signal. Something external has entered your sacred space. The reverse justice card in your reading speaks volumes. It's not just a misalignment, it's a call to attention. When justice appears upside down, it doesn't mean fairness is gone. It means the scales have been tipped by hidden hands. And when it arrives with the 7 of Cups, the message becomes even clearer. Someone is feeding illusions into your emotional field, hoping you'll question your own truth. These illusions might come in the form of misinformation, mixed messages, or emotionally manipulative relationships, especially ones rooted in envy or unresolved power dynamics. At times like these, it helps to remember the gentle wisdom passed down through ages. When someone tries to cast shadows over your light, it's because they fear what your light reflects about themselves. You are not here to prove your worth to anyone. You are here to embody grace, to radiate integrity, and to walk in alignment with the peace you were born to protect. And while the world may not always reward that immediately, the universe always balances its own accounts. You don't need to seek revenge or justification. What you need is restoration. And restoration begins with awareness. In numerology, the number 2 represents harmony, relationships, and duality, themes that define Libra's very essence. But paired with the number 9, a symbol of spiritual completion and karmic closure, you're being invited into a deeper understanding. Some chapters are ending, not because you failed but because you've outgrown the lessons they were meant to teach. It is no coincidence that these numbers appear together now. They remind you that your current discomfort is not a sign of weakness, it's a sacred signal that balance is being recalibrated in your favor. If you've been feeling anxious for no clear reason, as though something invisible is pressing against your chest or fogging your clarity, know this: your body and soul are responding to an energetic interference. It may have started as someone's silent envy, disguised behind polite smiles and subtle sabotage. It may have taken the form of rituals, acts that carry intention, even if spoken in whispers. But even in the presence of manipulation, your power cannot be undone. Energy works like water, it flows toward focus. And the moment you return your focus to your own center, the ripples of interference begin to fade. Let this be your gentle reminder: you are not responsible for healing the wounds that others have projected onto you. But you are responsible for reclaiming your peace. As it is written in quiet teachings passed down by those who walk in wisdom, when you walk with honesty and keep your heart soft, you are never truly defenseless. You're protected not just by force, but by the purity of your intention. And right now, the universe is asking you to step back into alignment, not with noise, but with discernment. To listen, to feel, to breathe through the fog, and to come home to the one truth no one can take from you: your soul was never meant to be shaken by borrowed storms. It may seem unbelievable at first that someone could take something as innocent as your photo and use it for purposes that go directly against your well-being. But when we consider the laws of energy and focus, it begins to make more sense. Every object that carries your likeness also carries your frequency. And when that frequency is handled with ill intent, placed in rituals, surrounded by whispered curses rather than prayers, it's no longer just a picture. It becomes a vessel for energetic manipulation. For Libra, a sign governed by Venus and deeply attuned to aesthetic, harmony, and relational energy, this kind of interference can be especially disruptive. You may feel it in subtle shifts, moments of self-doubt you can't explain, distance forming between you and those you love, or a sudden inability to make decisions that once felt intuitive. The reversed Lover's card appearing with the Two of Swords brings this hidden battle into the light. The Lovers, when upright, represents harmony, unity, and meaningful connections. Reversed, it signals a distortion of love twisted into control, or fractured by confusion. Alongside the Two of Swords, which often reflects emotional paralysis or conflict avoidance, the message is clear: someone wanted you to feel stuck, unsure, disconnected from your heart. This wasn't simply about harming your reputation, it was about disrupting the very source of your peace, your ability to love, to trust, and to feel safe within your own choices. And yet, even in this, there is an invitation. The experience of being manipulated or betrayed, while painful, sharpens your ability to discern what is true. It leads you inward, where the only voice that matters is the one that whispers softly through your spirit. That voice, which cannot be silenced by others, is what reminds you, no one can sever the bond between you and your divine alignment unless you allow them. When your mind feels clouded and your heart conflicted, you are being guided not to seek answers outside, but to create stillness inside. As it's often said in sacred teachings, those who walk with clarity walk in protection, because truth is the greatest shield of all. In this stage, the energy around you may feel foggy or distorted, but the power to clear it lies within your daily actions. Begin with your space. Introduce color intentionally. Blush pink to nurture your emotional heart, olive green to sharpen your intuition, and shimmering silver to reinforce energetic boundaries. These aren't just pretty shades, they carry vibrations that interact with your energy field. Use them in your clothing, your decor, even in the light you allow into your home. Let each color be a reminder that you are actively choosing to reclaim your energetic space. But beyond the visual, lean into gentle practices of protection. Speak truth over yourself each morning. Pause before reacting when confusion stirs. Write your thoughts when emotions overwhelm. And when the urge to question your worth rises again, remind yourself that those who operate from envy cannot dim the light they did not create. They may try to confuse your reflection, but they can't steal your essence. What was targeted was never your fault, but what happens next is your responsibility. The deeper message here is not about fear, it's about wisdom. When someone places you on their altar, they think they are gaining control. But what they fail to realize is that your image does not hold your spirit. Your energy belongs to you. And when you return to that truth, when you ground yourself in discernment and peace, you become untouchable, not because harm doesn't try, but because you no longer grant it power. You walk in quiet authority. You choose balance, even when others choose chaos. That is your liberation, and no one can take it from you. Without warning, the atmosphere around you may have begun to shift subtly at first. Small disagreements escalate into arguments. A mirror cracks, seemingly without cause. The house, once your refuge, starts to feel heavier at night, with strange sounds or shadows lingering in the corners of your awareness. Sleep becomes fragmented, and even your dreams carry a kind of static. You might tell yourself it's just stress or a run of bad luck, but when such changes happen in close succession, especially when your inner balance has already been compromised, they're rarely random. In the language of energy, the home mirrors the state of the soul. And when your soul is being targeted, especially through ritualistic interference, your sanctuary is often the first place to respond. The reversed Four of Swords in this context points to a restlessness that doesn't come from within, but from energetic intrusion. It's the kind of exhaustion that no nap can cure, because it's not about physical fatigue, it's about spiritual dissonance. The Tower, ever the harbinger of sudden shifts, confirms that a disruption has occurred, likely triggered by forces seeking to shake the very foundation of your peace. For Libra, a sign so deeply tied to balance, aesthetics, and sacred space, such energetic chaos can be more than unsettling. It can feel like betrayal in the most intimate of places. This isn't about superstition. It's about pattern recognition. When your environment begins echoing the same turbulence you feel emotionally when your physical space no longer supports your emotional clarity, it's a sign that your energetic boundaries have been breached. And while it's true that you may not have invited this disruption, you are not powerless in the face of it. In fact, your awareness of it is already the beginning of restoration. There's wisdom in paying attention to how your body reacts in different rooms, how your thoughts change when you're alone, how your sleep patterns shift over time. These signals are subtle, but they speak truth, and truth, no matter how quietly it arrives, has a way of clearing out distortion. This is where simple, conscious acts can make a profound difference. Begin with the external to support the internal. Hang a round mirror on the western wall not because of folklore, but because directionality matters. The West governs the end of cycles and the release of what no longer serves. The mirror acts as a symbol of reversal, bouncing back what was never yours to carry. Cleanse your doors and floors with a mixture of sea salt and lavender oil. Lavender soothes the nervous system. Salt draws out density. This combination is gentle yet incredibly effective in shifting the vibrational tone of your space. And as you clean, do so with the quiet conviction that you are taking your space back not through anger, but through intentional calm. Also, consider the objects in your home. If something feels off or heavy, especially if it's secondhand or gifted with ambiguous energy, don't ignore that instinct. You don't need proof to trust your discomfort. You only need permission, and that permission must come from within. Let go of what makes you feel watched, drained, or distracted. Your home should not be a museum of uncertainty. It should be your energetic reset. Support your body as much as you support your surroundings. Your digestive system, especially for Libra, acts as a barometer for emotional stability. Feed it what's grounding and clean, leafy greens, fermented probiotics like yogurt, and broths that warm and soothe. What you consume physically should match what you want to experience emotionally: clarity, peace, and alignment. Remember, disturbances in your space are not signs that you've lost control. Theory calls to remember the influence you've always had. There's quiet power in tending to your own environment, in choosing peace over panic. And just as the teachings say, when you are faithful in tending the little things, the larger storms lose their grip. You don't need to cast anything out. You only need to make it clear this is sacred ground, and peace lives here again. There comes a moment in every cycle when things begin to shift, not loudly, not with fanfare, but with the quiet certainty of balance being restored. You may not see it all at once, but you'll begin to feel it. A strange calm where anxiety used to live. A door that no longer creaks the same. A name that used to trigger emotion now sounds neutral in your mind. This is not a coincidence, it's karma correcting itself, not out of vengeance, but out of natural alignment. The Judgment card paired with the Wheel of Fortune reflects exactly that, the tides turning, not because you forced them to, but because they were always meant to turn when you chose to step back and reclaim your power. Karma, in its truest form, doesn't require an audience. It doesn't rush or retaliate. It responds. And the ones who tried to distort your image, who interfered with your energy for selfish control or envy, are now beginning to experience the ripple of their own choices. It may show up as sleepless nights, tensions at home, or doors closing in areas where they once thrived. You don't need to check in. You don't need to prove a point. The universe has already seen what needed to be seen. Your only task now is to stay anchored in your own lane, centered in a state of grace. That's not always easy, especially when the human part of you wants justice in visible, immediate terms. But sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is exactly what you've already started doing: removing yourself from the cycle. Your decision to no longer react, to no longer defend what you know in your heart to be true, is the very action that releases you from their grip. And as the sacred teachings remind us, true power often lives in stillness. When you hold your peace, it echoes louder than any retaliation ever could. There are simple but potent ways to support this energetic detachment. If there's someone whose presence continues to stir up confusion or heaviness in your heart, write them a letter. Don't send it. Just write. Let the words pour out freely: your pain, your clarity, your boundaries. This is not for their eyes, it's for your release. Then speak the words out loud: I reclaim my power and return to the universe everything that does not belong to me. It's a gentle declaration, but one that reprograms your field. The act of voicing intention brings clarity where murkiness once stood. You may also want to observe a quiet digital fast. For the next 9 days, try not to share your image, especially in spaces where energy isn't protected or sacred. The number 9, in both numerology and spiritual cycles, represents closure and transformation. Use this window as a protective container, a time where your energy is allowed to realign without interruption, like letting a wound close without peeling back the bandage. And maybe most importantly, begin noticing the signs of closure rather than waiting for revenge. Is your sleep returning? Are you feeling more creative, more present? These are signs that the grip is loosening, that your soul has reclaimed the space that was momentarily distorted. That is karmic law at its most compassionate restoration, not punishment. You're not walking away in silence, you're walking away with wisdom. And as you do, the ones who once clung to your light will find themselves sitting in the shadow of their own making, invited to face what they once projected onto you. But that's their journey, not yours anymore. Sometimes healing doesn't come with grand gestures or sudden breakthroughs. It arrives quietly, like a breeze moving through a room you didn't realize had grown stale. After chaos, after revelation, after release, what you're entering now is not just recovery. It's restoration. The cards, Temperance, and Ace of Swords, appearing side by side signal a sacred return to Clarissa, coming home to yourself, Libra. This is your space to breathe again, to re-establish inner harmony without needing anyone else's permission. Where confusion once clouded your thinking, the truth now makes itself known, not to hurt you, but to free you. You've been through a period where other people's projections, envy, or interference blurred your own perception. But even then, your essence never left you. It only got quieter, waiting patiently for you to remember. And now, that remembering begins. This is where you reconnect with the original rhythm of your soul, the one that existed before fear, before manipulation, before doubt crept in. What the universe is asking of you now is simple but profound: to live from the center again. To stop reaching outward for validation, and instead cultivate the inner peace that cannot be taken away. Start small. Mornings are potent, those first moments when your mind is still open and your heart hasn't yet been shaped by the noise of the day. Use that time. Meditate for just 15 minutes with a frequency like 528 Hz playing softly. That tone isn't magic, it's science. It supports cellular repair, but more importantly, it creates an energetic field where healing can become your default, not your exception. This is not about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Movement matters too, especially for Libra, a sign that rules beauty, posture, and grace. Try the tree pose, not just as a yoga position, but as a metaphor. One leg rooted deep in your truth, the other lifted in flexibility. Arms reaching upward, not in tension, but in surrender. It's in this balance that you begin to feel your center returning, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. Consider your environment. Place a piece of rose quartz in a glass of spring water. Let it sit for 30 minutes before drinking. This is not about superstition. It's about intention. When you drink that water, you're not just hydrating your body, you're choosing softness over defense, compassion over fear. You're reminding yourself that gentleness is not weakness. It is, in fact, your greatest strength. Financially, this is the time to reassess where your energy has been exchanged. Money isn't just currency, it's relationship. If there are ties that make you feel energetically indebted, even if not on paper, now is the time to evaluate. Who makes you feel supported, and who makes you feel drained? Who adds to your growth, and who chips away at your confidence? Cut cords where you need to. Set terms. Not because you're closing off, but because you're making space for flow to return without friction. In love, the message is clear: real connection doesn't need to possess. If someone truly sees you, they won't use energy, control, or manipulation to keep you close. They will choose freedom for you, because they trust that freedom always chooses love back. That's the kind of love you're being called to receive and to give. You're not rebuilding from brokenness. You're stepping into a new structure that was always waiting beneath the surface, now revealed because you were brave enough to let go. As the wisdom teaches us gently, you will know them by their fruits. Not their words, not their promises, but their patterns. Choose accordingly. And above all, return to what's true, not just what's familiar. Peace will meet you there. Sometimes the most powerful victories happen in silence. No loud applause, no dramatic finale, just you standing whole after walking through something invisible that was meant to fracture you. What you've experienced wasn't a battle with swords or fire, but with whispers and shadows, illusions and subtle manipulations. And yet, here you are. Libra, you didn't just survive this. You saw it, felt it, and chose not to become it. That is the quiet strength of your sign ruled by Venus, the planet of harmony and beauty. You are not here to destroy, but to restore. To bring back what is fair, what is true, and what has always belonged to you, your inner peace. When others sought to manipulate your energy, they misunderstood one simple truth. Your balance isn't weakness, it's sacred design. It is what allows you to stand in chaos without becoming it. And even if they tried to bend your reflection, they couldn't touch the original light within. That light has never stopped glowing. Maybe it flickered for a moment, maybe it dimmed beneath the weight of doubt or betrayal, but it never went out. And now, as you reach this part of your journey, you are remembering that you don't need to fight to win. You just need to stay aligned with what's real. Because when you don't lose yourself, they never truly take anything from you. So the question now is, what will you do with this clarity? Will you water the seeds of healing you've been planting through meditation, setting boundaries, listening to your intuition, and reclaiming your home as a space of safety? Will you begin each day with intention, remembering that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it? These are not grand gestures. They are daily choices. Simple, quiet acts of alignment that, over time, build an unshakable foundation beneath your spirit. And if you've come this far in the video, it means something within you is ready. Ready to step into a version of yourself that no longer bends to fear or confusion. Ready to walk in clarity, with your head held high, not because you're proving anything, but because your soul remembers who it is. You are not broken. You were disrupted. But that ends now. I want to take a moment to thank you not just for watching this video, but for showing up for yourself in ways most people wouldn't understand. Every like, every comment, every moment you spend here with me at Zodiac Whisper Tarot contributes to something much bigger than a single video. It contributes to the energy we build together, a space where truth is spoken gently, where healing is real, and where every soul has the right to start again. So if you're ready to claim your light and restore your rightful balance, type it below in the comments. I choose light and release the shadows. Let this be your declaration, not to the world, but to yourself. And while you're here, I'd love to know, have you ever felt like someone was trying to control your path without your consent? How did you find your way back to peace? Your words may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and share this message with someone who may be silently searching for their own light. Libra, your balance is your power. Never let anyone convince you otherwise.